Why do I do this to myself? Hey all my dudes and not dudes and all the stuff in between dudes and not dudes, you know, whatever you identify as. Today, I identify as a disaster. I started my period 2 days ago, so my back and my stomach hurt almost unbearably so, and I can't hear out of my right ear. Well, I can mostly not hear out of my right ear. It's either an infection or water, or I jabbed myself too hard with a Q-tip, it's hard to tell. Either way, it'll clear up in a couple days, or I don't know, I'll go to a doctor. I'm not sure. I'm being whiny about it right now. And I don't have a good way to transition into the rest of this video, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I said for May that instead of picking a traditional TBR, I was going to read books that were mainly advertised to me on the lock screen of my Kindle, and that's been interesting so far. I also said that I was gonna do weekly updates, and is it still a weekly update if I've done it on Saturday, even though it's the 9th of the month? I figured 10 days in the experiment is a pretty good time to sort of give you guys an update on what I've been reading so far, the advertisements I've seen, and just how I think that this is going. You know, just some sort of early benchmark that we can compare the rest of this to, so when I've inevitably devolved deeper and deeper into insanity, I can look back at sweeter, more innocent times when I was still crazy, but less so. Good times. I've been surprised at the advertisements that I've gotten for really mainly two reasons. The first one being that I've seen a pretty wide variety thus far. There's been some fantasy, some science fiction, some thriller, I think, some romance, and there's one that's either a historical fiction or a contemporary. I'm not 100% sure because the advertisement didn't say anything other than the fact that the author was Turkish. So maybe we'll figure that out when we get there. Also, I've gotten a couple repeats. 3 repeats? 3, 4? I'm not gonna look at them. I have it all written down, but I'm not gonna look at the paper because I'm lazy. I've gotten Darklight by Bella Forrest 3 times now, despite the fact that I have that book checked out. Kindle knows that I'm reading it, so I don't understand why it feels like it needs to keep advertising it to me. I've seen On the Edge by Brittany Sahan 4 times, which is the one about the billionaire Irishman who likes to fight and he's a businessman and something. I think I made fun of that one in a previous video because I'm an asshole. Also, there's a trilogy, the Obsolescence trilogy, that's come up 3 times already as well. Speaking of trilogies, there's probably a couple details I should have figured out before I ever got this started. Namely, I don't know what book to pick next. I've been recording all the advertisements that I've seen. I've been writing them down, like the date, the time, and what book they were. And I'm trying to decide if I should read them in order of the advertisements that I've been given, if I should just pick and choose based on my mood, or if I should maybe focus on titles that I see advertised to me quite often, because either the author's paying a lot of money for me to see those advertisements, or Amazon really thinks that I want to read it. I'm not really sure on that one. And I also didn't consider what to do if I get advertised a series or like a trilogy, because should I read the first book? Should I read all the books? Or should I just say no series at all? Otherwise this is gonna get out of hand, because it's gonna get out of hand already. Thankfully, I'm not committing to reading every book on the list. That's just my focus, is to read those books from that list. So you'd think eventually I would get my shit together, but then you don't know me very well, so I'll probably end up playing this by ear and just sort of making it up as I go. The book I started this experiment with is Darklight by Bella Forrest, and she's come up on my radar before, or rather on my Kindle lock screen, because I've seen advertisements for her series Harley Merlin and the Secret Coven. You could probably guess from the title what that's about, but it's billed as a book for grown-up Harry Potter fans, meaning people who liked Harry Potter when they were younger, and now that they're older, they're looking for something similar, but more geared towards adults, because it's really hard in your 30s to identify or relate to an 11-year-old. Just a problem with getting older. Darklight, and you could probably tell from the cover, is billed as a book for grown-up Twilight fans, which means I'm sensing a bit of a pattern here for this author. But anyway, in this book, vampires don't exist. Or rather, they did exist, but then they disappeared about a decade before the book actually starts. So imagine our main character's surprise whenever one of them approaches her for help. Well, he kidnaps her, but you know, semantics. Aside from the titles sounding very similar, there's not really that many similarities between this book and Twilight. Well, aside from the fact that the vampires don't follow mainstream lore, because in this book, vampires they're not harmed by the sun. I don't think they sparkle, but they're not harmed by the sun. And they feed on people, but they specifically feed on evil people. There's something about like the darkness that draws them to those people, and they're drinking the blood is just the method in which they consume that darkness, which is neat. Like that's a cool excuse, but that's really where the similarities end, because I mean, Twilight is about a decades-old vampire who falls in love with a teenage girl, and then a bunch of like weird shit happens, which is probably creepy out of context. Whereas this one, the characters are pretty different. Well, I don't know, we haven't actually gotten to see Dorian much, which is such a vampire name. But we haven't gotten to see much of Dorian in this book thus far, but our main character, Lyra, really couldn't be more different from Bella if she tried, because she's not like some helpless teenage girl. I think she's in her early 20s, maybe, like early to mid 20s, and she's part of basically a cross between the FBI and the Marines, but focusing on magical stuff. So she's been in like essentially military training, and she deploys to fight, you know, paranormal monsters, which is probably very different from anything I've seen Bella do in the Twilight series. So, you know, your main characters are at least very, very different. This book is actually okay, but I feel like more should have happened by now, and I don't know if that's the book's fault. I feel like maybe I'm reading it too slowly, and also the construction of the chapters isn't helping. So I'm about 108 pages into the book, and I'm on the start of chapter 15, and that just means that, to me, the chapters feel really short, and a lot of times I can be okay with that. A lot of times that doesn't necessarily bother me, but right now it just feels like speed bumps. I know a lot of people prefer it that way. I want to say Throne of Glass was written very similarly. Like, Throne of Glass had an assload of chapters for a book that was really only like 400 or something pages. And so it's a writing style. It's just, right now, apparently my attention span just can't handle it. By the way, I fell down a rabbit hole trying to research this author. I was going through her backlog because I was convinced I'd seen her books advertised before, and I wanted to see like which ones that I'd seen, or if my brain was just crazy and making the whole thing up. And I have learned that Bella Forrest is prolific. She either has her writing method down to a science, or that is just one uber efficient operation over there. Since 2012, she's released about 160 books, which is almost 20 books a year. That number is mind-boggling in and of itself. Darklight is actually the first in a series. It released September 2019, and the 7th book in the series comes out this month. That is almost a book a month. I know there's like a lot of people who were turned off by the fast track method, but damn, this girl, I don't know what she's doing over there, but that is efficient and intimidating. Like, you gotta respect the hustle. Even if you don't like the method, you gotta respect the hustle. And that's all I've got for today's video, because honestly, I'm starting to get frustrated with myself. My ear really hurts, and I still need to edit and upload this video at some point in the next few hours, which it will take a few hours because I have the attention span of a goldfish right now. If you have any suggestions on how I should pick my next book, leave them in the comments down below, because help me. I should finish Darklight in the next few days, you know, if I crack down and actually read the damn thing. If I'm smart, and I'm usually not, but if I'm a smart person, I'll record these update clips over the course of the week so that it's not 6 a.m. on a Saturday and I'm driving myself crazy trying to record whatever the hell this is. If you have just a little bit of pity for me and my messed up ear, or, you know, you actually found me entertaining, I'm not sure which one, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to see when the next time I upload, go ahead and subscribe, because, you know, it'll be something random on whatever erratic schedule I'm on now. And that's it. That's all I've got. I'm going to go crochet a really ugly blanket for my brother, because I bought some yarn that I don't actually like now that I'm using it, and I figured what better way to get rid of it than to crochet an ugly blanket that his dogs are going to pee all over. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!